Okay, everybody, it's Sean David again, and this is another video on counting and clapping and tracking rhythms. This video is sort of next level. The last one that I did, if you've seen it already, was on tracking and counting quarter notes, whole notes, and half notes, the very basic divisions of the beat in music and rhythm. Here, we're talking about the inclusion of eighth notes, okay? And very, very, very key to understanding eighth notes is the concept of what we call subdivision. And what that means is there are still 4 beats in basic 4/4 time, which is what we're dealing with here. We are going to subdivide each one of those beats into 2 different parts. The first portion of the beat, which lands on the 1, 2, 3, or 4, which we call the downbeat, and the second portion of the beat, which is half, the beats are split in half, which we call the upbeat. And when we count, we use the syllable or word and to count it. Now I'm going to show you, normally I tap my foot when I play music all the time. My students have seen it, I've talked to them about it. So here is my foot, and you will see up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Now I want you to watch this. Every time my foot hits the floor, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what we've been doing when we're doing our quarter notes, half notes, and whole notes. When we subdivide the beat, we're doing something that really, it already happens all the time in music. We just weren't thinking about it before. So every time my foot hits the floor, that's the downbeat. But the upbeat is where the ands are going to go. So if we place a note on the downbeat and the upbeat, we have eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And again, if you do that with your foot tapping, it's almost instant. I mean, your body does it almost for you, right? Down, up, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I would encourage you, if you're not tapping your foot already, to start doing it. Now, let's get down to business here. What you'll notice is I put, again, just like in the last video, 1, 2, 3, and 4 at the top of the board. Underneath that, I have the eighth notes. 4 beats of eighth notes, which means 8 eighth notes, right? That would be an entire measure in 4/4 time. If you've noticed, I did not put the number above each note, just like I did in the last video, because I want you to see how they all line up together. So what we're going to do, though, is we're going to count the number of the beat that it falls on, right? The 1, 2, 3, or 4. So watch me, and I'm gonna show you with my finger once, and I'm gonna count it out loud the same way that you would. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? If I snap, that's gonna sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now I snapped the quarter notes there. Now if I snap the eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I want you to clap and count out loud with me. And what I'm going to do is I am going to point to the eighth notes. I'm going to tap my foot to the quarter notes. And I want you to count and clap every single eighth note. Here we go. Here's 1, 2, 3, ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now this time I'm going to snap it. 1, 2, here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I hope that makes sense. That if you can do that, honestly, eighth notes will become so much easier. Now, if we notice here, I've got 4 quarter notes. Well, what's different about these quarter notes than the one I did in the other video? Nothing, except that now we're going to snap or clap those quarter notes, and we're going to count, we're going to subdivide the eighth notes, even though we're not playing the eighth notes, but the eighth notes are still there as an undercurrent underneath the music, right? So check this out. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So the eighth notes are being counted, but I'm only playing the quarter notes. That's called subdivision. And anytime you have music that has eighth notes in it, we're going to subdivide the eighth notes the entire time. Because if we don't, and you'll see this on the next line, then when we get to the eighth notes, we don't know what they sound like. So here's my snapping. These are quarter notes, right? Now watch this. After a few of these, I'm going to count 4 beats, and then we're going to subdivide the eighth notes while clapping quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and again 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we were only clapping the quarter notes, but we were subdividing the eighth notes underneath them. Now here's why, because on the very last line what you'll see is quarter notes and eighth notes. So watch this, right? Here's my 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If I don't subdivide the eighth notes on that first quarter note, then what happens is when I get to the eighth notes, I don't know what they should sound like, okay? So you're going to do this with me. I'm going to tap 4 beats on my foot, and then we are going to clap and count. We are going to clap every note as it's written, quarter, eighth, 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 quarter. However, we are going to count out loud every single division of the beat. That means on the quarter notes, we're still clapping, we're still counting 1 and. On this quarter note, we're still clapping and counting. We're counting 4 and, but we're clapping just the beat, right? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, clap along. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now we're going to do it again. This time I'm going to follow the notes so you can see. 1 and 2 and here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Do you see how that works? That is so important, guys. This is probably one of the most important lessons you'll ever get on understanding eighth notes and eighth note subdivision. And I know we've got a lot of students that struggle with reading eighth notes and counting them. So I would encourage you to watch this video and practice it and do it along with your parents. And just like I did with the other one, now we're going to do a bunch of them at random, okay? And I want to just encourage you with this thought. Think about this. If you're playing a piece of music and it has eighth notes in it, if eighth notes are the shortest note in that music, you should be subdividing the eighth notes the entire time. And your teachers will help you with that as well, okay? So here's we go. I'm going to count 4 beats, and we're going to start here. 2, 3, clap and count. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Bottom line, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Next line, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and top line, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, guys, practice it. I'll see you in the classroom.